I'm digging these, you know? There's a couple of reasons why I think this has been fun. This has been a fun thing to figure this out. Not figure anything out. You dogs don't start barking now. I'm doing my thing here. And right now I'm messing around with filters, so. Are we living in a simulation, you guys? What is the simulation theory? Well, simulation theory is that basically all of us are basically avatars doing sim life, sim work, sim love. We are a part of the Matrix, and we're part of a video game. Like some teenager might be playing, he might be playing a video game using us, and he might be from the future. Maybe that we are in suspended animation, basically. Basically, you and I, if you're talking to me or listening to me right now, is that you are sitting in a hospital bed, basically, and hooked up to life support. And instead of us, going off to, heaven or hell and dying, we're in this temporary space where we somehow have jumped to, I would have to say, like a lower dimension almost, because it seems too ridiculous. Like, if you haven't noticed, there's always a ringing sound in your ears, possibly. Maybe not everything as clear as it used to be. Like, you may have vision as 2015, and then all of a sudden your eyes are fuzzy. Now that's just one thing. There are also people who have told me that they've had physical characteristics that they've always had their entire life, like a birthmark that's on one side of their hip, and then they suddenly feel these changes going on in the world, and they look to see their birthmark that they've had their whole life has moved to the other hip. And then they start to question themselves, similar to like the Mandela effect. Did I really have? And they question their sanity. Did I have this? Did I have that? Well, while we got a second waiting for everybody to come on in, I'm just going to take a look around, see what we got. So I'm going to read the actual simulation theory to you. It says that simulation theory is a theoretical hypothesis that says we people perceive is reality is actually an advanced, hyper-realistic computer simulation, possibly overseen by a higher being. Now, you and I have probably played video games, and you get 3 lives. Let's go back to my era, which would have been Super Mario Brothers. Go back even further, would have been Atari. And you get 3 lives. You get 3 chances at this game that you're playing. You have 3 chances at whatever game it is that you enjoy the most, and that's going to be your reality. And 2 situations that made me kind of really interested in this is because it typically happens with people who either have some kind of a drug incident or psychedelic experience, and it takes them somewhere else, and they see another realm, and they believe that realm to be another dimension, or perhaps we're breaking out of our own sort of video game, and we're sort of seeing who the controllers of the video game are. And I'm referring to people who do medicinal stuff that makes you hallucinate and things like that. So I do believe that there is some value to those ceremonies that they do. I'm just going to tell you that it might scare the devil out of you, and it might scare the bejesus into you. I don't know. So, but it has had lasting good effects on people who are the ones that are especially that are hooked on drugs. If a person is hooked on any kind of addictive drugs, be it heroin or crystal meth or whatever the thing that might be, there is a cure for those things now. I used to really hate it when people said, oh, there's a cure for this. You go to this hospital in Malibu and you pay all this money, And then I come to find out that the medicine that they're giving them is stuff from Mexico that's over the counter. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So all these years of people suffering from, drugs and stuff could have easily been handled. Well, the reason why is because the handlers handle their own realities. The handlers, like, say, over the United States. Let's say the game is the United States. And you and I are all in the game in the United States. We all start off day one falling out of our mother, and then we go through these phases and so on of confusion and development. And then after it's all said and done, we live and we move and we have our being. And in the end, we die and we go back through this sort of cycle. And if that's true, that means that every single thing in the Bible and all the things that we've been taught about the afterlife have been limited in its details. Not that it's not true, because I believe the Bible is true, and that when we die, we go to heaven. But how long do we stay in heaven? I mean, what is the theory there? What is the thing that says, we will be immediately by this, by Jesus' side when we die, immediately in the presence of the Lord. The minute that we leave the body, we are in the presence of the Lord. And it doesn't matter if we see him or we don't see him. Most people have these, near-death experiences almost every single time, say the same thing. They go and they meet a certain being. They go into a large field, so to speak, like a big farm of some kind, maybe like a flower farm or something, and they can see for miles and miles and miles, and they always speak to this person or this thing or this being or this entity without words. And it's very interesting because here it is you're having a, let's say, surgery, and you were put under anesthesia. And so the anesthesia caused you to go into cardiac arrest. So what's happening now is a race against time to get a spark, to get your heart to kick itself back on again like a thermostat. And during that time, and it could be a range of seconds up to minutes, some people have had hours, and some people have days, some people have gone into coma for years. And during that time, they have lived other lives, complete other lives. And how sad and unfortunate it is for those people who come out of those, drug trips and stuff like that, and they've had girlfriends and jobs and like whole lives, and they lived those lives for like 3 months, and then they suddenly woke up from whatever coma they were in. They're like, oh fuck, and they're in all kinds of pain, and they have to have rehabilitation. So the simulation theory basically says that, the simulator or the person who is playing the game with you let's say you die in the game, okay? You die in the game or you get injured in the game and you have to be in the hospital. So you're in the hospital, let's say you're in a coma. You don't even know that you're in a coma. But during that time that you're in the coma, you're sitting there having these incredible stories happen before you with people that are familiar to you. You're basically thinking it's your life, and all these neat things are happening to you, and all these opportunities are happening, and then you suddenly realize is that you're part of a video game. You're not manifesting anything. You're just putting in requests to the person who's governing you. So whoever my player one is kicking ass. And, I suffered most of my life for a lot of things, and now I'm in a different place and doing different things, and I don't appreciate suffering. I don't like suffering. I don't appreciate suffering. It sucks. And I don't think it's necessary for people to have to suffer. So knowing something that gives you sort of a little bit of if you could see the future, you probably would go, wow, oh wow. And you would probably go change the way you went about living your life. If you thought for a moment, this sucks to hear this, you guys. It sucks to tell you this. It sucks to even mention this. It actually hurt my feelings when I heard this said to me. It said that it doesn't matter how many VPNs you have. It doesn't matter. You're on Tor. You're on the dark web. You are sending, private, chats, all that stuff. It's all seen. Every bit of it is read and seen and heard. It does not matter, because think about it. It does not matter if the phone or the television or the laptop or whatever is listening to you or watching you, because it doesn't matter if it is or if it is not, if this is a simulation, because it would make perfect sense for the person who is monitoring you or operating your sim game, so to speak, is able to give you like a drop-down menu of options. And I love this opportunity. You want drop-down? I would love to have a drop-down. It's like all of a sudden you wake up one morning and you have like a drop-down, like you have Google Glass on, and you say, what would I like to do today? Well, I'd like to go on an adventure that I'm going to go dune buggy riding today, and I'm going to meet some girls out in the sand dunes and hit it off. So I'm going to do that today. And then it happens, and you're like, holy shit, I just got invited to go ride sand rails out there in the desert. And it shocked the fuck out of me because I wasn't expecting it. I didn't even know my friend knew where there was sand rails at, and his friend had buggies and shit. So we go out there and we're fucking whipping around, flying stuff, and the dude jumped. And you know what I mean? I felt the fucking harness like yanking on me and shit. And it was good. We got completely soaked. We went into a lake, like all the way up to our necks in water. And dude is driving through the fucking lake, okay? 2 chicks in the back, covered in fucking mud. We didn't give a shit. Come out the other side. Now that was amazing to me. Because in this simulation, I wanted these things to happen. And you and I would say, well, that sounds like manifestation or whatever. Well, yeah, but it also might be being just making a selection on a category of things I would like to do. And you, of course, if you are the player one, you want to do the most entertaining fucking game you could do, like rappelling one day. And what's cool about it is that the stuff that the players do with us scares the shit out of us and makes our internal organ biological suit that we've been given to manage, gives us anxiety, we have fears, we have all these things that have been programmed into us by our parents. Now, what in the hell, why would we deliberately, program the kids to do stuff that would be destructive? Why would we program our kids to be stupid and lazy? But yet it happens. And I'm guilty of a lot of stuff because I don't celebrate holidays. And I'm not empathetic with people who do and need debs off and shit like that. I'm not empathetic with people that can't wait for the weekend. Because it seems to me like even if this is a simulation theory, there are still levels of people that are lower to mediocre in productivity and stuff like that, which would make them more like in the sim world. Like if you're in sim, let's say Sim City, okay, you have a sim family, you have a certain protocol of things, you have objectives, okay? And during this Sim City of yours, which I hope you guys don't mind, I'm asking you guys to do me a favor and hit the like button. I've never asked that before. And it seems to me like I do a lot of videos like this that are just a lot of fun, you know what I mean? And so it's a bit of wisdom that I've been given. And it might be true, it might not be. I don't know, because nobody knows. And no one can sit there and say, well, this guy is full of shit. Well, no, I'm not, because I'm asking the question. I mean, nobody knows if this is simulation or not except the controller. And it has been so beneficial to me to just say what I need and to just focus on the things that I know that I can get and it's realistic. It's not like some unrealistic thing. That every single goal I've ever had in my life, I've just asked for the goal to, come to fruition, and I would do whatever steps it would take at that point to try and get to that goal. And just like in video games, when you go on a mission, and you guys, I just changed my mission. That's why I got my hairs cut off, and I had to shave the beard because I have to do the mask training again. Well, I'm moving to another town because I bought a castle, and you guys know that. And I'm going to do a whole video series with the Rockera. We're going to build a castle. We're rebuilding this thing from the underground up, because it is a mud-flooded castle from the 1800s. It's founded in 1810. It was owned by some revolutionaries that fought the Mexican whatever wars. So when you ever hear about the revolutionaries, you hear about Pancho Villa. Well, this was not his house. This was one of his guys. And it just so happens that his great, 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 great grandson still lives on the property. And he's a very cool guy. He uses one of the big rooms as a barn for his horses. So he was a nice guy. He was the first dude I met when I went to this place, and he was totally freaked out. He's like, "Hey, what's up?" And he sees this, nice ass car outside, and he sees us, and we're like, "Hey, what's going on? Hey, we got this paper from the people that we bought it from." And it was a note to him saying, "Hey, look, these are great people. Be nice to them, help them, whatever they need." And just like the letter said, is exactly what the person that the letter was written to. Now, if you would just use your mind's eye for a minute and say, "Hey, this is such and such so on, and these are the people who just bought the castle. So do me a favor and help him in any way possible." And just like that, he has been helping us in every way possible because he's there every single day feeding his horses. So it's not a flex, because you could do the same thing. This is why I'm saying is that no matter what money you think that money is, that if that's what I'm sort of upset at people about, because materialism makes them mad at other people and judgmental at other people. And I know what that feels like, having a set of boots that were handmade, you know what I mean? And they were covered in beeswax, and I didn't have normal boots, so I got made fun of in school by the other kids. So when I did get a pair of shoes, and I did get a nice pair of shoes, and they're all white and stuff, the kids still made fun of me because they weren't as expensive a brand as they were used to. So part of the simulation shit, guys, is that even in your circumstances where you're told and programmed to live hand to mouth, paycheck to paycheck, is to say, whoever it is that set up this game needs to go to the fucking configurations and make me make more money immediately, please. Because I don't want to live a normal life. I want to live a above average life. And before you know it, some of these things start to happen. And I'm like, holy shit, this thing may be something fucking... And so it surprised me a little bit until I started to watch, documentaries on physics. And this is where the observable eye sees two slits, and something is sent through, photons are sent through where it's observable. And on the other side, the observable eye sees two slits on the other side. But from the unobserved eye, it is rows. It's not two, it's not four, it's not six. It's rows upon rows upon rows, that if it is not observed by the observable eye, as in if a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? As in, we just proved that this is a simulation. So that really set me, made me really stop and think. We all might be Christians that believe in God, that believe Christ died for us. Our souls may be being harvested for whatever reason. But I want you guys to enjoy this life. Enjoy this life like it's a simulation. Just go and be bold for a change. Now you could do that. And you have permission to still use the First Amendment, to use your words. Just do it in a tactful manner. Use this to your advantage, guys. You follow me? I'm saying reverse engineer all the bullshit talk and all these stupid, you know what I'm saying, guys? Use this to your advantage and reverse Uno card fucking everything. Anything and everything fucked up in your life. I want you to reverse Uno that shit. You know what I'm saying? And literally go get a fucking box of Uno and just dig it out, get yourself a reverse Uno card and use that motherfucker just as if it was something real. All right, I'm saying something silly, and this is just simulation, but shit, hell, nobody knows anyway, right? No one can sit there and say, oh, this is definitely a simulation. I definitely know. Nobody knows, motherfucker. Nobody knows. People have had near-death experiences. They've been in those other places, those other realms. They've seen other people. They have, they've solved murders of themselves and things like that. So is there a connection? We don't know. So no one could claim, oh, this guy's a stupid ass. Listen to this motherfucker. He's an idiot. He says this and that. He says it that way. He says it that way because he wants to be convincing enough to say, hey, there's a possibility that we might be being duped right now. And this is all set up and something's fucked up and nefarious happening. And we're all like pawns in this game. And at any moment, it could fucking kick off. And that after the game is over with, you'll look down with us and you'll look down, you'll see that it's just a fishbowl. A fishbowl with all these burned out dead ass castles in the bottom of it, with some deep sea diver, the old style. And this would be fun if you knew that you were doing it. Problem is that, I'll give you an example. It was a guy that did some drug that's legal in the States, by the way. And he had a reaction to it that he responded very well to it. But when he came out of it, he was terrified and hurt and very disappointed, like depressed for like months. One guy was depressed for a whole year because he was doing like stupid amounts of this, smoke stuff. And it would basically put him in Indian style on the fucking ceiling. I'm not even joking. And I did not observe this, just so you know. This was a well-known story. Even Joe Rogan talked about it, that he had like smoked this stuff. It wasn't DMT or anything like that, but it was very hallucinogenic, whatever this drug was. You might know what it is. I don't know. So he has a family. He has a home and a job. He's like going to work and stuff. And there's this lamp in the corner of his house. And one day he just is like staring at it, and it's glowing. Okay, it's glowing. It's blowing up. It's going like this shit. And he looks and he gets closer, and his wife is like, "What are you doing?" And he's not responding. And then she just stands there and leaves him alone eventually. And he's staring at this lamp and can't stop staring at it. And then he wakes up the next day. And all of that was his hallucination. All of that time he had with that wife, like he went to high school with her. Like the whole storyline was pretty deep. Like he was in high school with this girl and fell in love with her and had a family with her. And then when he woke up, it was like, 15 minutes. And they were like, how long was that? He was like, 50 years. Man, that's devastating to hear that. And someone else also, this is what scares me about people sometimes in their theories. But I like theories, and it's just for fun, so we can talk about it because it's not real to anybody, because no one knows if it's real or not. So we can't say that we know, yeah, we could time travel, whatever, the time travel stories. If you can, great. I'm serious. If you can, my hat's off to you. I want to have rich friends too, okay? I love to hang around dudes that are just cool as shit. They grew up like we all did, middle class, white trash, and made a fortune doing something. And those dudes are so generous when you get around them, not because you're broke, but because you're a substantial person. Now, this is, again, goes back to the simulation theory. You don't deserve to go hang around people that are fucking rich and famous unless you're really, really focused on not, being a bum and you want to be something in your life. Then what'll happen is, and this has been my, all the way I've thinking about, is that God puts us in places. And if God is the controller and he's having a great time up there, my hat's off to him, because this is a pretty awesome show. Okay? Great show, you guys. If this is like a simulation, I say ride this thing, dude. Ride this thing like a mechanical bull. Have fun. Be yourself, be authentic, and just take all of those worries off, take that mask off, and just take all walls down. And stop being arrogant. And that will be so much fun and so much easier. And it'll be fun for me, you guys. Listen to this. I need you to do me a favor. Hit the like button for me. Because I want other people to hear this theory, because you got a Uno card, you got the Uno card, and you can use that reverse Uno card. Now let's talk about, what are the good Uno cards? What are the lucky cards in Uno? The lucky cards are wild cards. And if you get to a point where you're in this reality, and you're at this point where you're thinking to yourself, hey, you know what, Professor? I'm going to try a little experiment with you. And I want to see if it's possible that you and I could somehow do this experiment with nobody communicating whatsoever in the world. And let's see if there's some repeated patterns in this simulation that you and I could talk about. And I've found the most interesting one is a friend of mine in Texas. Okay, he lives in a place that I went to tech school that's on the border of Oklahoma. And it's called Wichita Falls, Texas. And I went to church out in the middle of nowhere, Texas, when I was in tech school. So the story goes like this. You are not allowed to leave the school grounds. You are not to be up past a certain hour, blah, 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 all these things. You're basically restricted for the first month. If we catch you off base, if we catch you drunk, underage, you're in big trouble. So I'm like, that's cool. I don't want to get drunk. I just want to go to the church because I'm like terrified. I'm in Texas. I've never been here before. I'm going to a tech school that's for engineering, and I barely passed high school math. So you guys ready for this? Are you guys ready for this story if you really like simulation stories? Because it is just too weird and just one of these things. It's one of these things that if this happened to you, you would simply say, someone wrote a book for me. And this is how it's playing out. Because this has become too cool for me. By accidentally finding that pipe wrench that day, led me to help that lady who had that leaky faucet. And then I had money to go do another thing and another job. So I got good at stuff. So when I went off to the military, I was already handy with my hands. So I knew that I'd be useful to the military, in some form or fashion, even though I wasn't that good at math. And they're going to put me in a civil engineering school? It sounded good on paper. In fact, if I did talk to anybody in my family, I always told them I was in civil engineering school because I wanted to sound like a big shot. And so I got my wish. You understand what I'm saying to you guys is that a lot of people in this simulation come from fucked up families that tell them that they ain't shit, they'll never be shit, and they're never gonna be shit, and they believe it. And so when someone steps out of that realm for a few and sees that other people live outside of that reality where there is no racism, I can't even believe people are still racist towards each other anymore. Like, I'm in shock. Because in the 90s, we didn't have this problem at all. There were a few guys that were like, hillbillies and stuff that like were baiters, but they didn't have any real hate in their heart. They were just being assholes. But other than that, we didn't have these problems. And that was why I believe that this is all connected between you and with me and your feelings and a lot of other people's shitty feelings is now influencing you. And since most of us live in a capitalistic, society that says work for lots of money and get rewarded for it, and this is how life will be for you because people admire money. Well, just like in video games, the more shit you do and the more missions you do, the more coins you get and the more weapons you get, and you get the more power. So here you are, you're leveling up, you're getting money, but you're getting treasure. Okay, keep this in mind, guys. These are tells. These are tells from the creator or whoever this player one is of mine that is a nod to these are not normal levels of wealth. that I'm giving you to fuck around with. Don't blow it up on stupid shit. But I want you to invest it into something that's going to make you more money so that I can watch you develop skills as a person in my game. And during that time, I'm going to see you hit your thumb with a fucking hammer. I'm going to see you cut your thumb, cutting a piece of pipe, or you didn't shave the burrs off the fucking, So there's a number of things that if this is a simulation, you can play this experiment with me because it'll be fun for us. Because anything that you could simply think about and say, okay, if this is a simulation and God is in charge of the simulation because he wants to see how we're doing, but he wants to see us do stuff. You don't just want to see us sit around and have all these great ideas and do nothing. No, I think that he would rather have more fun, seeing us put together a new house. Did you know that someone is, so fortunate one day and wins the lottery and they're just, they come on television and they're just dumb as shit. And you're like, well, why did that guy win it, not me? I'd probably do so much with that, and I'd bail my family out of debt, and then I'd buy my grandma a new house, and it's all these things that we put value on because of the program, and that's why I'm solely focused on just archaeology. And when I go and I do these videos, I'm not expecting anything. I don't know anything. So that's what makes it fun for me, is that, like, I at first see all these walls like, oh, it's a bunch of old shit. Looks terrible, actually. And I was here for years ago. Come to find out, it's called colonial style. It's a patinaed stone. All the streets, all the walls are patinaed stone. Stonework that are Romanesque, meaning Roman roads in these old towns. Underneath these towns, there are large tunnels, large enough to fit 2 horses and a buggy, like a stagecoach, right underneath our feet. And so when I finally start meeting people and they start showing me around, they start telling me about this town. And they say it isn't just ancient, but it's also haunted. And it has legends that turn out to be true. So I say to myself, if the legends are true, and the fun part will be to go and chase these legends as part of some kind of a, just as part of this fun show. And what's fun is that you guys can help me too. All you got to do is go on Google Earth, and you go on the town where I am, which is in Querétaro, and you'll be able to see the star forts, and you'll be able to see the ancient structures, and you'll be able to zoom in on them, and you'll be able to see places that are actually blurred out. And you'd go, whoa, what is that about? So what they do here is, during the time that I believe that Smithsonian was going around blowing up old buildings and dismantling buildings, is that the Mexican Historical Society decided to put their foot down and say, hell no, you're not going to take away our relics, and decided to put a foot down. But they still came and blew up a lot of the old, really, really old buildings here, including my castle that has, dynamite damage to the walls, which turned out to be pretty interesting because what are they looking for? And you could tell, because if they were metal detecting in certain areas of the walls and put dynamite there, they just blew just maybe like 5 inches of stone and stucco off of it. Dude, my walls are so thick, it's sickening. So that's what I'm saying, is that you have options in your game. Now, I hope to God I never ever have to use those walls for protection. But in the event, the unfortunate event of the end of the world scenario, I got big old walls that are 20 feet tall. Then when you get to those said walls, then you've got bees to deal with, because we have a bee reserve in the castle. I would like all of you to go to Google Maps right now and go to the castle And just take a look. I put new pictures up there all the time. And I haven't been in a while because of the cartel and shit going on there. So I don't fuck around with the cartel. I just stay away from places the cartel's at. And I do other stuff. And there's other people that work. And they work there every day. So it's not a big deal. So nobody gets hurt. Nobody gets extorted. Nobody gets kidnapped. Meanwhile, I'm working on just getting building materials and doing this stuff. Just like in the video games, you guys. I'm getting my little coins. Which remember, guys, what does it look like? What are those coins? When you get them, they look like gold coins. So always consider, anytime you get paid something, think of them as gold coins. I deserve better than this paper. So I'm going to do the things that get gold coins, which means the mission that's harder. That means that once I get past this level, stuff's about to get real fucking hard. And the good news is that there's a lot of gold on this level. And I believe that the reset, the master reset, the great reset that happened to our country and to all of our countries set us back for probably 1,000 years. And we are the remnants of those people. And that these old buildings, these all mud flood buildings and these underground places they're finding everywhere left and right because of LIDAR, thank you very much, in the US, they're finding gold. So just get ready for it. The more we use LIDAR, the more bodies will be found underground from murdered people. So you understand why this is important, that simulation or not, this is the funnest time of our lives, and it should be so much fun because no one else could explain away how in the world we could have such an insane world right now. If you believe what I'm saying, will you do me a favor and just write amen in the chat? If you write amen, you agree with me, but you don't have to say amen. You can say whatever you want. You could say, os, O-S-S, os. That's what we say in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've heard some things that amen was the reuse of the word for amen ra. So we just can't have any nice things. Even prayer is fucked up, right? Sucks. So how many Orthodox guys we got in here now? It's like one. Anyway, one guy out of 3. So it's not bad. 30% Orthodox. Okay. Now, where were you born? Where were you born? Because there's not a lot of Orthodox people. Like, it's mostly Eastern Orthodox. It's people who are born in East Europe. Most people that are Eastern Orthodox are from Eastern Europe. Now, your parents might have moved to the States. A lot of Eastern European people live in Ohio. You'll find a lot of people in Ohio and they're usually big old dudes too, like giant, like the most jacked dudes are from like Serbia or from Ukraine or something like that. And they're just so freaking huge. It's like shake their hands like banana hands. You know what I'm saying? You're like, oh, hello, sir. So you follow me when I say that. It's cool that the programmers have put so much detail into this thing, but I'm telling you that use this opportunity to pretend that it's and have fun. I think that if you stop taking life so seriously as if it's a game that you have to win and rather be on a journey, because that's what we liked about video games. I didn't enjoy, winning at the very end of The Legend of Zelda. The very original Nintendo Legend of Zelda. But you know how hard that game was. That was a hard-ass game. If you guys want to go back further, we can go to, let's say, Atari. What was the one that had the crocodiles in it? We had to jump over the manholes. Pitfall. That's right, Pitfall. Pitfall was the game that if you died, you went all the way back to the beginning. And just to be able to get past all those crocodiles and shit, your body responded to stimulation of being in fear. Because the fear wasn't of getting eaten by crocodiles. The fear was being taken back to the beginning. So to my time traveler followers, listen, I believe you. I believe you because you say you do what you do, and you've always told me the truth. And it sounds ridiculous to some people, but then again, they picked me to show me an angel. Okay, they picked me to be in the very presence of a demon. Okay, none of this stuff. Okay, none of this stuff have I visually seen. I have not seen an angel with my own two eyes. Someone was taking a picture of me, and in that picture was one next to me. So you don't have to believe that. My lady took it, and it was great. And then she showed it to me, and I was putting up curtains in our new house. And there's an angel next to me. And so it goes back to when I was in Puebla. I had this angel ceremony done on me. They said, you're a very special person. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I was such a jerk. They said, listen, okay, you're going to see a lot of weird stuff, but I want you to be aware that the only thing is that the angels are always watching you. So I'm like, great. So that means I'm basically under surveillance all the time. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm under surveillance all the time because there's angels with me all the time. But see, angels, if they were around me all the time, are not here to judge me anyway. Because if they're sent for the righteous, it's to tell us we're not doing something right. That's why they call us the righteous. And if we're doing something wrong, it'll be to chastise us. But 9 times out of 10, they're there because people are going to try and provoke you. This is simulation. And people in simulations provoke you. NPCs' jobs are not to just sell weapons on video games. It's also to provoke you in real life. Those people do not have a subconscious mind. Now, I want to know, how many people do not have, what percentage of people do you think it is that do not have an internal dialogue? Now, I'm just going to say this real quick. A person who does not have an internal dialogue doesn't mean they're stupid. It just means they visualize things from the outside in, not from the inside with the voice inside their head. They don't have a voice inside their head. It is some crazy number. So I'm going to turn this other phone here and see if I can get an accurate number. Let's see. If I could just ask Google, what do you think? If I ask Google, will it tell me the truth? Because Google doesn't want you to know the truth about shit. They want you to know the truth that wants to be found. So let me go back up. How many? No, wait. Let's try that again. All right, I'm gonna word this so that it'll be more accurate. How about that? What percentage of the population has no internal dialogue?
30 to 50%, according to Bustle. But as it turns out, most people don't have an inner monologue. According to research, only 30 to 50% of people have inner monologues, which means up to 70% of people don't have a talkative brain.
Did I just hear that right? And I hope that you understand that I'm not making fun of people. It's when, okay, let's say the average person has 100 IQ. Let's say that's my brain. Then you meet double D's or people who have something that's under 86. And they've had their brains knocked in or something like that. So they have, let's not do this now. They've had their heads kicked in. And of course, they're in a coma or something, or they're in some form of retardation. But their original self, before it got hit in the injury, is in a different simulation. So we might be in 11 different dimensions, and it's taking us from one to the next, to the next, to the next. Right now, we're in a crazy one, which is the craziest stuff I've ever seen in my fucking life. But I'm really glad we're able to witness it, because if this is the end of the real world, like if this is the end, this is going to be something that, well, historically, it's going to be something else. And it'll just start over again. It'll be just a different game. I hope they put me in something like, something with doom buggies next time, because that was fun. Put me in there with some good stuff. So I'm going to play this again because you missed it. I know everybody's busy, but I want you to hear from Google how many people, what percent of the population has no internal dialogue? What percent of the population has no internal dialogue?
30 to 50%, according to Emily Alexandra, Medium. However, did you know that 30 to 50% of people don't have internal monologues?
Wild. You hear what I'm saying? This is not anything. I don't make this up. You follow? This is stuff that I couldn't believe it. Well, it says 30 to 50% have no internal dialogue or no internal monologue. So they don't think about stuff. That's half, according to that. The other one said it was 70%. So be it what it is. If this is a game, I want you to play it. So hopefully I'm just an NPC in your game and you're just seeing me on a screen. And you're like, well, this is one of my favorite games, so I'll go listen to Professor for a while. He's been playing a game down in Mexico. And he's been down there for years, having a good old time. Travel around Latin America, got a beautiful lady, and he's now building a castle. I want to be balling like that too. So you'll go into that game realm. You'll pick that game for that reason. Because in your mind, you're thinking that, for monetary reasons, you're going to get respected differently down in Latin America than you do when you're in the States. When people don't care about stuff. In fact, it's actually considered really a liability to be a braggart. And I've been guilty of it. And it's just because, go for being a shitty dick, turd packing, fucking honky, broke motherfucker like me to living in a castle in Mexico with a beautiful lady and with beautiful dogs and neighbors who appreciate me and care about me and more bees, honeybees, than I can shake a stick at. I might have 200,000 bees right now. 200,000 bees. I started off with one small nest that somebody wanted out of their thing. I was like, damn, those are like special honeybees. I better go check on these, make sure they're African bees. And I end up dying trying to help this old lady. Meanwhile, she dies too, right? So I got the green light. They're like, no, those are a special species that that are in Mexico, and they work 10 times as hard as regular bees, but they'll work together on structures, and they'll work in sections. Like they'll do like the foundation of a bee structure, and then they'll leave and go do something else, and then all the worker bees will add on to what's called panales or honeycombs. So I have been blessed to have bees, you guys. So all the, beeswax, and I'm learning how to do a lot of things. So anything you see me doing on my channel, I'm doing it for fun. I don't get paid to do this. The kids, their schooling is terrible. It's an embarrassment to the world. But somehow, some way, there's almost 100% literacy rate here. But when I see the homework, I go, oh, this homeless literacy. This is why. This is not even funny. So I said I took it upon myself to educate these kids in a way that could be, transferred into life skills. So when I came down here and I said, well, the fire academy is going to be here and there's not that many gringos here. So we're just going to invite gringos that just getting out of the military that are still overseas, that once they've out processed, they're like, fuck you, I'm going to go to Spain for a while. You can go to Spain and be one of us if you're qualified, but Spain's going to put you through the mill. So you go to a private brigade, and it's going to pay you shit. But it doesn't matter because this is a simulation. If you want big bucks, you go to the United States and you put your time in some of the best paying cities in the fucking world. 170,000? That's 100,000 more than a few years ago. It said, if you work 7 years as a firefighter, you get $70,000. And there was a lot of money at 7 years ago. So now here we are. In this simulation, we cannot get out, no matter what, but I do not want you to give up and to think that, listen, everything is going to be okay. That's why we're in a simulation, possibly because you're sick and maybe something happened to you. Maybe you got in a car accident and you had to be revived and you were now in a medically induced coma, but you don't know it because you don't remember your last life. You see yourself and you're on your way. You don't care about your body anymore. See, that's how I want to live my life. I want to look down on my body and say, man, that is a good looking fucking dude, it's jacked. Who is that? That's you. No way, that's me? Yes, that's you in 2 years if you work out and diet. Well, oh shit, I need to get off the phone now, so you follow me? That is all it takes to realize that you're in a simulation and recognize the tells of the reset simulation. Because there's something behind it that is basically hitting the dimmer switch for us. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. But it's right now high time to take advantage of this time while you're overseas or getting ready to get overseas to start looking good, start fixing your teeth, start reading books, start meditating, going to the gym, doing all the things that are hard, that sound boring, but read something with your 2 eyes, put the phone down, turn that shit off. And after you're done, then you could take a fucking selfie and put that shit on the internet. So I hope this helps you quite a bit, you guys, because I got to go do this exact same thing. Did this before. And that's why I say that instead of me registering all that stuff, I just come down here. I don't do whatever the fuck, because I don't have an appointment. And I just say, my name is a professor, and I'm out.